put some corn juice in here. Sorry if I sound like crap, I woke up very sick. Got the corn juice in here. I've got it up to E65. So we'll do a couple of rips at E65 and see how it does. If it wants more juice, we'll give it more juice. If it doesn't, then it doesn't. Again, the goal isn't to make a big number. I've set a table limit to what we will make if it's going well, which is about 600 wheel horsepower, which this is a pretty low reading dyno as it is. So, you know, if we get to 550 and I feel like we're kind of pushing it, that's what we're gonna call it. The reason I picked 600 is just because for some reason the VQ35s can only do about 600 safely. I don't particularly understand the reasons behind that, but you know, I don't want to find out on a customer's engine why that is. Maybe if I get the funding someday, I'll see if I can really push them further than that. So let me get in this thing. It's already warmed up. We'll do a couple rips. All right, so that pull was wastegate, so basically just ignition timing to see what we were getting out of it. You can see in the mid-range we picked up, you know, 24-ish foot-pounds of torque right in the middle there, with diminishing returns kind of up top, and that was quite a bit more timing. So that tells me that it's not looking for more timing up here. I mean, a gain is a gain at the same boost pressure, so that's 10 horsepower, which kind of adds up because he's talking about a 20% gain, so yeah, like 5-10% gain. So we really picked it up in the mid-range. So now what we need to do is turn the boost controller on, because that's where the power is really going to come on. So wastegate, that was 381 instead of 372 on just ignition timing. So we'll turn the boost controller on, toss some boost at it, and see how we're going. I got the knock box all hooked up and we're in the headphones, so I can listen for knock. So let's keep going. All right, so boost controller on. I only had it increasing boost by 4% duty cycle, so it's basically the same boost. We picked up 25 foot-pounds of torque and 25 horsepower. You can see it's gained everywhere, so that's just ignition timing doing what it's going to do. So now we're going to actually turn the boost up even more. I have it so it's going to be going up about 30%. So we should see probably 14 pounds of boost, I'd like to think. So we'll see. Okay, so I got to be more aggressive with the compensation percentages, because I always forget the percentages over duty cycle. So that was 1 more pound of boost, and we gained a lot. That's 30 peak horsepower, 30 foot-pounds of top. Now, the torque dipping like that, I can fix that if I change the base adjustment up. I don't really want to do that though, because then it's on the gasoline one, does the same thing, and on the gasoline one it's fairly flat. So we'll just keep playing with this. All right, so I pulled out of that one early because it sounded like it was starting to break up, which is spark plug gap 100%. So I got to go gap down the plugs. That was going to be, you know, a 500 horsepower effortlessly. It was about 14 pounds of boost, which the boost was steadily climbing, which I just fixed that in the boost control because I wanted to level off way earlier. So actually 15 pounds of boost. So I got to gap the plugs, but one thing I'm kind of concerned about is our injector duty cycle. Injector 1 duty cycle. It hit 80% at the top of that pull, which sort of sucks because these injectors might not have enough. So I need to do a full sweep and see where we end up, but we might be out of fuel injector. We have definitely enough of, the rest of the fuel system. If we look at our fuel pressure, 60 psi of fuel pressure, it's more than enough. We are just we might be out of injector, so we're gonna let this cool down for a few minutes, gap the plugs. Our intake air temps, which is important, we're only seeing 66 degrees, and at the start of the pull we're at 60, so that intercooler is kicking some butt. And you can see peaks out 73 after the pull, and you can see it's already on its way down. Not even a second later we're getting 72. So everything's looking good. We just gotta see if we run out of fuel injector. I think I might have hit the boost cut on that one. It was set at 19 pounds with a hysteresis of 1.5, so around that, because it was on a rip, and then all of a sudden, like, it just cut out, like it had no fuel. So I look here, my red line is our wideband, and you can see it went dumb lean, so it just shut the fuel off, which, because my dumb ass forgot to change the overboost cut to ignition cut. And then it only activates for 0.1 of a second, which is when the car came back up. So I pumped that up to 22 psi, and we're going to try that again, because everything else looks fine. We are really at the top of the injectors though, so that was 87% injector, but we'll see what happens. Alright, so it did the exact same thing again, and I'm seeing some weird stuff in here. So the blue line is our battery voltage, and it is just tanking through the pull. It's dropping almost a half a volt by the time we get up to the top. And then the last pull, our throttle position dipped as well. We got a code for it, but I just assume it's because my foot like twitched on it. But it dipped again. And our fuel pressure, which is this tan line right here, is dropping. So there's something going on. Injector 1 duty cycle again is fairly high. We're not at 90%. If the fuel pressure would come up, it wouldn't be an issue. I don't know what is going on with that. There's something funky going on. It's not like we're hitting a spark blowout or anything, because I gapped the plugs down like a lot. And the boost that time was only 16 pounds, and the last time it was 17. It's like it's cutting throttle. Some reason. Oil pressure is good. 104 psi up top. Rises with the RPMs. That's good. I had to check crankcase pressure, coolant pressure. Man, I'm not sure what's going on. Very weird. So I turned the boost back down, did a pull. It was fine. So I just gapped the plugs down even more, and we'll see if that fixes it. I was at a 0.25 before. I just went down to an 0.20. We'll see. That one was better, but we still broke up towards the top. You can see the orange, it's the RPMs, broke up a little bit. I'm gonna try a couple more things. If I get a good rip, I'll start filming again. Sorted it out. So this is Haltech So I have the reaction time for the short-term fuel trims like set to 0, so it should be instant. But it's still not reacting very fast, and I'm noticing, you know, this is our air-fuel ratio right here. It was just dumping a shit ton of fuel in there, like a ton. So I pulled out a bunch of fuel and it fixed it. I need to put a little back in right here. I need to put more in here. But that fixed it, because the thing just did 482 at, how much boost was that? 15.5 psi, 15.7 psi. So clearly, I guess it's just me not being fully familiar with how Alltech does their closed loop stuff, but so we'll play around with that a little bit. It's also a part of the map that we haven't tuned, so I'll play around with that some more and then turn this thing up. All right, so we got it all sorted out now. So we did 494 horsepower at 16.5 pounds of boost. Injected duty cycle at the top of that was 81%, so we get a little bit more we can play with. I still got to add a little bit of fuel in here, nothing crazy. Fuel ratio here is good. It's got plenty of boost controller left, and you know, I said earlier, what did I say, 18 pounds is what I was thinking it was going to take to get this thing really up there. So we're going to be about that. Intake air temps that time started at 65 and peaked out at the top of the pole at 80 degrees, crept up to 89 after the pole, and then immediately went down. I've also been beating the snot out of this thing. So we're going to make some adjustments here. We're going to give it a little bit more boost and see what happens. Alright, so we're out of wastegate spring. So what is happening is I keep putting like 5-10% more duty cycle into the boost controller, and the boost isn't going up. Like that last pull was 17 psi. So what's happening is our back pressure is, you know, 32, 33 psi. So the wastegate's being pushed open by the back pressure. So no matter how much air I put to the top of the wastegate, we're not going to get any more boost out of it with that spring that's in there. So it's making about 500 horsepower to the wheels right now. It wants to make more. It can make more. But I can't get any more boost out of it. So potential solutions to that would be dump valve at the bottom of the downpipe to reduce the exhaust back pressure, which would then reduce the pre-turbo manifold pressure, which would mean the gate isn't going to be forced open. Another solution would be stiff a wastegate spring, but that's going to raise the base boost pressure. So instead of, you know, 6, 7, 8 pounds when he's driving around, we would have to go up to like 10, which isn't a huge difference, but that is 30 wheel horsepower difference and about 35 foot-pounds of torque, which is quite the difference. This thing's already going to be a handful at its base boost pressure. So I'm going to talk to the customer, see what he wants to do. I have a feeling he's going to be okay with where it is now, and in the future, if he gets bored with this, which I doubt he will, there's more on the table. So just got off the phone with the customer, and we're going to leave it like this. It's got plenty of room to grow if he wants to throw some more power at it. The torque is starting to drop off a bit, but again, that's probably related to the wastegate being pushed open. So bigger spring probably bumped that up a little bit, but it makes power right to the end. Intake air temps are great. We're only seeing at the end of the last pull out of the 5 that I did, 85 degrees. Oil pressure's still great. Coolant pressure's good. Everything's freaking fantastic. So a couple of button-up things that I got to do to this thing, such as finish putting the clutch slipper system in, do one more oil change on it. We'll do another compression test on it just to verify everything is mint. And then he's gonna take it home and finish the rest of it. But this has definitely been a fun project. Hopefully, and this is a weird thing for most businesses to say, hopefully I don't have to see him again for a long time. I don't imagine he's gonna have any issues with this thing, but cool. That's where the wastegate was dumping. The car ate half my board. Well, that's sad.
Like and subscribe, guys.